Good night, welcome to Teleislas News with the most important information of the day. Colombia presented its arguments before the International Court of Justice this morning during oral hearings at The Hague. The country argues that a state's claim to be a continental shelf beyond 200 nautical miles cannot or should not cross and amputate the rights of another state within its 200 nautical miles of maritime coastline.
It was Colombians' turn during the pleading at the oral hearings this morning. First to present his argument was Sir Michael Wood. He's a specialist in public international law, international litigation, and arbitration, and the law of the sea, and the first lawyer on Colombian advocacy team before the International Court of Justice. Then spoke the international lawyer Rodman Bondi, Jean-Marc Touvenin, Lawrence Boyson, and members of the Colombian Council. The Colombian legal team presented several examples of states respecting the 200 nautical miles limit of another state and islands.
Nicaragua seeks to create bears no relation whatsoever with the gray areas that have been established in other cases. It is not a byproduct of adjustments made to single maritime boundary within 200 nautical miles. This grey area is the very objective of the Nicaraguan claim.
The continental shelf of one state could not extend within 200 miles of another state. Or B, the legal rights of other states over the seas out to 200 miles from their baselines are such as to automatically extinguish.
The Colombian agent before the International Court of Justice, Eduardo Valencia Ospina, during his intervention, responded to the question if the state claim to a continental shelf beyond 200 nautical miles can cross and imputate the rights of another state within the 200 nautical miles of maritime coastline. His answer was no.
The extended continental shelves encroach upon the international seabed.
Taking into account the beginning of the vacation season, the National Police held an event in the presence of the main government authorities, armed forces, and renewed civilians in the department.
The commander of the police department of the islands spoke about the police deployment prepared to receive the high tourist season that has already begun, revealing the sectors where there will be more police presence.
The National Police in the Archipelago Department is carrying out prevention plans, crime deterrence in the islands through control stations, placement of police staff in the downtown area, where there will be an influx of tourists, as well as the strengthening of some sites such as the pedestrian area, the airport where there is agglomeration, and in tourist places such as Rocky Key and Our Keys to attend to the needs of residents and tourists.
On the other hand, the Archipelago Police Commander gave some recommendations for visitors and residents to take into account during the holiday season.
It is important that when we are on the beach, we put our items in a safe place because the opportunity factor is the one that has the greatest impact on theft. We should analyze who is around us, who we contact with tourist packages, because there are unscrupulous people who charge high prices for tourist packages. Another invitation is to not allow the sale of gunpowder, that although on the island there is no active participation in this regard, it is important that if we identify any irregular site, we report it. Another important situation is the mobility in the downtown area of the island, so that we park in the places defined by the Mobility Secretariat.
Colonel Manosalva announced that there will be restrictions to prevent fights in the neighborhoods and other sectors of the island. She also stressed the importance to avoid accidents and other situations that may endanger the integrity and life of the inhabitants when consuming alcohol beverage, and also made a call to verify that the beverages are not adulterated. Finally, she announced that there will be a joint effort with the military forces to ensure security in different sectors of the island, especially at night.
Before the end of the 2022 term, there was another change within the cabinet of secretaries of the current administration. This time, the new Secretary of Culture, Wilfred Liva Orozco, was sworn in.
Today, the new Secretary of Culture, Wilfred Liva Orozco, was sworn in. He's a professional in industrial engineering with experience in public positions. He previously served as regional director of the Social Prosperity Office. Liva Orozco will have the task of working on the strengthening of the culture of the islands.
My name is Wilfred Liva, from today, Secretary of Culture. Thanks to God first and to the government for giving me this opportunity. From today, I want to work for result all the culture from my island. Thank you very much.
Among the challenges faced by the professional is to work in the strengthening of the island's culture through the programs that are developed by the local administration, the preservation of cultural spaces where dialogue in Creole is encouraged, as well as artistic expressions such as dances, gastronomy, and music.
Today, the national environmental authorities, in the framework of the International Forum on Challenges to Address the Disease of Coral Tissue Loss and Climate Change, at the press conference requested the Risk Management Unit to establish a red alert to jointly seek solutions to help control the disease that affects the corals in the archipelago.
In an ordinary Board of Directors session, the Regional System of Protected Areas of the Caribbean region, which is made up of 16 environmental authorities, proposed a roadmap and an action plan to address the disease of coral tissue loss.
We need all the support from the Ministry of Environment, from the Presidency to face one of the strongest diseases that our ecosystems may be experiencing today, such as the coral tissue disease, a disease that spreads rapidly and that could affect life and health, not only of our marine ecosystems, but also of our communities.
The president of CIRAP Caribe, Jesus Leon, requests the declaration of a red alert by the Risk Management Unit, while calling on the national government to support them in order to try to stop this disease that affects the corals.
Today, we've asked the Risk Management Unit to establish a red alert, which seeks that all the actors are involved in this action and we can jointly establish actions to protect, conserve, and mitigate against this tissue disease. The treatment for them exists. This disease has been in Florida, Miami for more than 14 years. It is a treatment with antibiotics, but it is very expensive. It is necessary to monitor it constantly. That is why we require and we call on the national government to provide us with all the necessary technological support and technical support.
And the National Company for the Promotion of Territorial Development, en Territorio, visited the works currently being developed in the archipelago.
And territorial officials were present in the archipelago to follow up on the progress of the projects that the entity is in charge of, where they visited the reconstruction and remodeling of the San Andres Sena facilities, its headquarters in Old Providence, as well as the Fisherman Place Center.
The improvement and adaptation of the Sena public employment offices. We were also visiting an important sector of this island, which is Cove. We met with the fishermen who make up this cooperative, around 75 families who will benefit from this important work, and there will be an adaptation and construction of a restaurant area, but also a place where they will be able to market their products. These are investments that are around 3,200 million pesos. Finally, we are in the island of Old Providence doing a follow-up on this important work of reconstruction of the Tourism Training Center of the Sena that will benefit, support, and promote the education of the region and the training of these young people.
More than 443 square meters will be worked on at the reconstruction site of the Fisherman Place Center in the Cove sector, which will generate 25 direct jobs and 35 indirect jobs. The construction will become a reality through the Inter-Administrative Agreement 21-2080 signed between En Territorio and Prosperidad Social.
No to violence against women. This is a commitment to restore women's rights by the Social Development Secretariat. Women who have suffered domestic violence will receive housing and food, among other benefits.
Through the Office for Women and Gender Affairs, it was awarded the process that will guarantee and restore the right of women victims of violence, their sons and daughters, with access to accommodation, food, psychosocial care, counseling, legal, and job search.
La Ley 1257.
Law 1257 of 2008 and Decree 1630 of 2019 regulates the granting of care measures for women victims of violence and their sons and daughters. These are measures to safeguard the lives of women victims of violence who are over 18 years old. Psychosocial care, support, and legal advice. Support for job search and follow up with entities that offer employment.
We have awarded the process that will allow women to receive housing, food, and protection services. Those women who have been victims of domestic violence, today the department has met this goal and has fulfilled the needs of women in the department in terms of protection and restitution of their rights.
In this way, the departmental government, according to the provision established by law, will activate the care route and protect women for a life free of violence.
Attention, this information is of interest to those who are looking for access to higher education. The departmental administration opened a call for forgivable loans.
The local government, through the 2023-1 New Beginning Fund, opened the call to access forgivable loans for higher education from the first semester of 2023, aimed at students graduating from schools in the department from 2019 onwards, covering the entire tuition until graduation for those who are selected. Registration will go until January 5th. Those interested should fill out the form on the ECETEX page with personal data or approach the entity. Among the requirements are to be a high school graduate since 2019 from an educational institution of the department, not to be older than 21 years old, have been admitted an undergraduate program in a higher education institution approved by the Ministry of Education, have OCR card and belong to strata 1, 2, or 3.
In other news, the departmental government, by Decree 0536 of 2021, allows public pyrotechnic demonstrations as show for recreational purposes as long as they are handled by specialized technical personnel and have the required permits. At the same time, the distribution and commercialization of these are prohibited and minors are not allowed to manipulate them. All this with the purpose of having zero burns in these end-of-year celebrations.
In the last hours, the departmental government released Decree 0536, where it reminds the whole community of the regulations and measures for the control of use, handling, storage, distribution, transport, marketing, registration, and operating permits of establishments dedicated to the manufacture, distribution, and sale of pyrotechnic articles, fireworks, gunpowder, and balloons in the archipelago of San Andres, Providence, and Santa Catalina. And other provisions are issued, all with the purpose of complying with the measures set forth in Decree 0536/2021 and thus achieving a safe Christmas with zero burns. The decree established the requirements to be met by technicians and specialists in public pyrotechnic demonstrations, which must be filed or through the Office of Government Secretariat. On the other hand, the decree does not allow the use and distribution of pyrotechnic articles or fireworks.
And now we continue with sport news with Victor Fusalva.
Hello, here are the best sports of the island, and this time with a great level of softball tournament that is playing at the Eduardo Castro Stadium. The recreational softball tournament that was organized this year and maintains a good level where players from the different neighborhoods of the island are integrated for recreate and integrate themselves among friends.
This is a Libre tournament, an open tournament where gather a lot of people from the island, from different sections here in the island. And I believe it's the best level with the play right now here in San Andres, because to bring out people from all sections, like how I mentioned before, to enjoy themselves, pass it good, and have a nice time here, so family and friends. My invitation for the public is if you come out, come out every Sunday from approximately 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the evening. You have different teams teams play here and come out and support your favorite team, because this is a different space where you can come and enjoy yourself with your family, you know. So I invite everybody to come out every Sunday, come look at softball here, so you know, the softball field.
It is great to see the integration of different sectors of the island united with the sport of softball. And a good level of the first category soccer tournament is playing at the Erwin O'Neill Football Stadium. The Departmental League, with a view for the next project of the First C, organized the tournament to prepare the future members of the island team that could represent the archipelago. This is what Carlos Rojas, the tournament coordinator, told us.
This afternoon, we are playing our third game, which is currently playing Dorado versus Estudiante, who are among the first positions of the tournament. I am grateful to the youth that is now coming to the stadium where soccer is being seen, and again, since we are in First C, these are players that are being looked at for the project that the president of the league, Dr. Lyle Newbat, is leading, looking at this project with the boys so that they can return again to soccer and fill the stadium like when we were with Real San Andres. At the top of the standings are Dorado and Estudiantes. There are also River Plate and Boca Junior, and by the end of the next week we will know who are the 8 remaining. These games are played on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Good start of integration for the players that could participate in the new project for the C League of the National Soccer. And this will be all in sports for tonight. We will see you on another broadcast. We continue with Lisa.
Thank you, Victor. With sport news, we reach to the end of this broadcast. See you tomorrow at 1 p.m. with more Teleislas news. Good night.